Coaches, what's going on? It's Coach Ian Tatum here, back with Coach Rapanick, and we are here with episode number 2 of the Counterculture Podcast. Coach, how's it going?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Man, I'm good. It's another day. It's another week, getting closer to doing your stuff in the weight room, off season stuff. It's another day to getting outside like a couple of days a week and kind of just no obviously no pads or anything like that, and just kind of
That's right.
getting back to some semi football stuff. And I'm excited. We kind of put a schedule together for how the spring and lead into the summer is going to look. So I'm super excited about that and getting back with the kids, kind of, getting some sweat in, you know what I mean?
That's right. Yeah, I mean, it's always a good feeling when you start to, I think a lot of us probably think about football all the time, but it's always a good feeling when you start to prepare those things for the kids. That's for sure. And I've been doing the same thing, starting to get everything ready, starting to get everything together as far as summer schedule and all that stuff, start handing out to the kids. But I mean, the build up to this season it's always awesome. It's always
Yeah,
a lot of fun.
and one of the funny questions I always hear is, you don't want to burn out the kids. You don't want to burn out the kids. And that's 100% true. You want them to play other sports, and we're big on that. Obviously, we're not a huge school, so share the athletes, all this stuff. But then you always going to have that percent that might not be in the weight room classes or might not be playing another sport, and they're football guys. And
That's
you
right.
have to, right or wrong, there's always going to be those guys. So trying to find out how to maneuver that and make sure that you're always showing those guys love, because you're not trying to burn them out, but they ain't got nothing else to do either.
That's
So
right.
I'd love for a lot of my linemen still to be wrestling. When wrestling just kind of ended, but a lot of those guys didn't. So kind of talking to, hey, need you to work on this. I can't be out there with them, so I need you to do
Right.
this. Like, thinking about doing this. And with a new head coach coming in, like some scheme stuff, kind of like trying to wet their whistle on that stuff like that too. Is find a balance. And these kids, you find even through just winter, through the holiday, they're January whatever, they're like, coach, football, when's it back? It's kind of like that. So I love the enthusiasm.
Yeah, those are the best ones, man. When they start talking about it, and even if it's just in passing, when are we starting back up? When spring ball start? When's this? It's you can always tell like the excitement isn't just from us as coaches. You
Yeah.
know, not obviously not every kid is talking about like, when does the season start and all that, but when you start to hear kids start talking about it too, like that's when like, okay, we got a pretty good thing going here. Um, that it's always good to hear that for sure. It's definitely
Yeah.
always good to hear that.
Yeah, and we have, like, there's a phrase that I'm starting to use more. We on our young ball coach, I do with Coach Brown, on the spaces on Twitter. Something that came up that I love, the phrase the coach uses, that sweat equity.
Hmm.
Like putting the time in the weight room, putting time in together, and how much. This is kind of just an off topic, kind of just throw it at you, real quick. How much do you um, reward, or what do you do things in the off season, I guess, for guys that do put in that sweat equity? Because I know there's different ways to do it. Like, some guys get T-shirts, some guys
Right.
get like a cookout or something like that. What do you do? Because just thinking of different ideas like that.
So what we started this past year, and it's tough for some kids because, like you said, smaller school, 1A ball.
Yeah,
I was talking to somebody today, and like all my starting receivers play baseball.
yeah,
So spring ball is going to be tough, for to not have those guys and stuff like that. But we started this past spring into the summer and all that. Is if we had a kid who had perfect attendance through the spring, which kind of made a big deal out of it, and told them, you get to pick your number first, you get
hmm
your first pick of helmets, and we have speed flex, we have F7s, we got a little bit of everything. You get to pick your locker first, but we split them up by position group also, so to an extent, I guess. Um, but we let them do all that stuff. And then what I do also is we have like little nameplates on their lockers, and I make a
yeah,
graphic with like, their name and their number and all that stuff on it. So I don't know if my school has really done anything before that as far as like rewarding kids for being there. But the kids really enjoyed that. I think it made it to where spring ball was a lot more consistent than it was the previous year.
Yeah.
But like I said, man, I mean, we got kids that play baseball, we got kids that run track, all these things that they're there when they can be, obviously. Or, what we started to do too, kind of towards the end of the spring, was we would move our start time back until like around when they finish track practice. And we don't do any equipment stuff in the spring, so it made it to where we can like run routes on air and start putting in the offense, start walking through the defense and all that stuff. But the passing out equipment thing, I think, was pretty good for us because every kid wants the number that they want.
Yeah.
And it's like the majority of the time they don't talk about who's getting what number until the day we pass out equipment. So we did that through the spring. If you were here every day, you got to pick your number and all that stuff first. And then we did it again in June. And then obviously the end of July, everybody gets their stuff. But what it made happen also was, we didn't have to pass out as much equipment on the first day of practice.
Yeah.
And I didn't even think about it. So I'm going to keep doing that for sure because it makes that process go a lot faster. But, that's what we did. Like you said, with like the cookout and stuff like that, I'm thinking about doing something different. But I don't want it to be like I don't know if I would put like anything specific on a t-shirt. I don't want to put like perfect attendance because theoretically they're all supposed to have it.
Yeah.
But that was pretty good to us. I think it got to the point where the kids were like, I've been here every day, which in my opinion, when it's optional, quote unquote, you got to be able to do something for them. But I like the cookout idea for sure. I think there's a lot of potential for creativity when it comes to that kind of stuff. Rewarding kids in general, for doing the right thing and all that.
And I think I think having maybe one that's maybe a little exclusive for guys. Hey, you put in that time,
Right.
but then I still believe in. Hey, we still need to have something for everybody because, like you say, people are they're playing other sports. They're in the summer. They might be playing basketball. Some of these leagues, travel ball for baseball.
Right.
So they're not able to be there, and I understand, because until July 1st, it ain't mandatory. I'll say
Correct.
that.
Right.
So, but still having something maybe end of camp, have a cookout or something. We did, which I'm huge on, and this is my first time doing it, but I've seen it. We did a Midnight Madness. So,
man, I want to do one so bad.
yes. So at the last day before you can hit, for those that don't understand, the last day before you can hit, we have a practice at like 11 or whatever it is at night. And it's a community thing. People come out, like maybe have some kids from the youth program, local youth program, or whatever. They come and you have a practice, and it's a standard summer like camp practice, and then you're just you're doing maybe some special teams and you stretch and you're going through some install or whatever it is. Then at midnight we wrap it up and we're strapping up and we're going to do some obviously modified Oklahoma, so you're not on your back string like that's illegal now, but
Right.
you're doing Oklahoma basically tackling, and it's a big thing. Like everybody's ready for football to come back.
Right.
So we did a lock in basically with that. So afterwards, like everybody got a shower, all that stuff, put equipment up, all stuff, and so we had a sleepover in the gym, and all the kids brought hair mattresses, and basically it was a big old sleepover, and we had food for all that stuff. And the kids, the one thing that did suck is the kids didn't go to sleep till like 6 a.m. So that
Oh my
was,
gosh.
and we had like 45, 50 kids in this gym. And so we're in the PE hallway. They're in the Ox gym that our middle school uses. They're in there just cutting up, they're having a good time, but it's team bonding. Like they're having a great
Absolutely.
time. Us
Absolutely.
coaches, excuse me, us coaches are like, shut up. Like,
Right. Right.
But we understand how great that is, right?
Absolutely. That's
And
one of the things that we're getting into.
yeah, it's awesome because you never know, like, hey, this kid might not have ever been around a group of kids like overnight. You know what I mean?
Right.
So those things are great. And then we end up doing a fundraiser afterwards, which was crazy on us as coaches because we got had a practice, had no sleep, fundraiser. But it was a grind, but it was fun.
Right.
So that was big for us. And I definitely am a proponent of doing that. But as a kind of a transition to kind of wrap it all up, today's podcast, we're going to be kind of talking about practice, schedules, how we do things, and ideas maybe other guys didn't talk about. But so if you have an idea that you didn't hear us talk about, drop it in the comments and like, hey, what do you do? So like some people don't do it Midnight Madness, but somebody might think about doing it now because I mentioned it. So what do you like? Do y'all just do a normal like, hey, that Saturday y'all get together like and practice in the morning or something like that? What do y'all do?
So that's how we did this past year. Is the Saturday we practiced in the morning and then we had a cookout after practice.
Yeah.
But we did a lock-in when I was in high school. We went to I can't even remember the name of the place, but we went to a military base, stayed in like the barracks, quote unquote, or I guess that's actually what it was called. And did all that stuff when we were there for I think 3 days. So that was one of the big things that I wanted to start doing too. So I'm glad you said that. But we practiced Saturday morning. I think it was like 9 to 11, something like that. Got it through. We did all the normal. We call it. So we do like a variation of Oklahoma. I can't remember where I saw it. I think like Oklahoma State does it. They call it the V drill. So that's what we call it. And you basically line up like bags or cones in the shape of a V. And you have an O lineman, D lineman, running back, linebacker, wide receiver, DB, and you have a guy running the ball. And we put it on the goal line. And everybody always said like it helps you not get rolled up on as much and stuff like that. And knock on wood, we haven't had any problems. But something to kind of get the juices flowing, like you said, get everybody excited about hitting and all that. And when we started, we let the kids like call whoever out, to try and get like the first group to be one of the better ones, obviously. But we do that. We'll let them, if there's a kid, best O lineman versus best D lineman, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, the morning is what we've been doing. But I have it on the schedule. I'm working out everything to be able to do like a lock-in deal. Because I think that it's becoming somewhat of like a lost art of communication. Obviously, because everybody has this, all they have to do is text or call or whatever, FaceTime or. So one of the things that I was thinking about doing is taking the kids' phones and giving them back for like an hour and a half every day so they can check in with family and all that stuff and really force them to communicate with each other. But I feel like, when you get into a situation like that, where you said it's a double-edged sword because you're tired, you want the kids to go to sleep, but at the same time, you love that they're actually like enjoying each other's company and all that stuff. So I really hope that we're going to be able to work everything out to be able to do it because I think it's going to be so beneficial for our program for sure.
Yeah, man, that camaraderie. Like because it's a lost art because kids don't sit with each other at lunch anymore. Like they'll go get their lunch and they'll be over there doing this the whole time. It's like what are we doing? Like talk to each other. And so I'm at the middle school, which we share the same building, so it's unique. So we share gym space. Basically, we share an auditorium. We share a cafeteria. So I'm at lunch in the morning because we go earlier in the high school, and so their class change, they'll go past us. So I'll yell at my guys while I'm sitting there with my sixth graders. Right. And so like I'll be talking to them. They'll be walking through, earphones in, kind of just hoods on. I'm like, guys, hoods off. Let's talk to each other. Like, what's up?
Right.
What's up? It's like, don't be such a sloth. Just I'm going like that's college stuff, man. Like, have fun in high school. So yeah, 100%. Because you said something that kind of intrigued me a second ago. When you do your locker room, you said you split it by position,
right?
Like section. That's awesome because that's the way it was in college. So I identify with that. So what we did was by class. So seniors are here, juniors, sophomores, and freshmen. So the section of locker room is always empty because we have no freshmen, right?
Right.
So because once the season goes, like once the season ends, the JV season, those guys are not freshmen anymore. They're sophomores.
That's right.
So like so that section of locker room is just empty until the summer, and our new kids can come in. But
Right.
I like the position because I do the same thing. My wife and I, we do graphics and we do tags. We have metal lockers, so we
Right.
just glue a magnet on it, and put it on there, and we know who's who. So I love the
Yep.
position.
So I got that. They did it at ODU.
Yeah,
And we just got brand new lockers last year, right before the spring. And it was just kind of like a thing, like I assumed, like, okay, this is what we're gonna do.
yeah,
And I think it's good, but also at the same time, I've thought about doing it to where it's not done by position. And I guess what I mean is like put people who normally wouldn't hang out with each other together.
yeah,
Like obviously in college it's probably a lot more of a thing than in high school, but like O line and DBs
yeah.
or something like that. But we started doing that, and actually, so we had like a middle row of lockers back to back in the middle of our field house. And we just moved those, and we split more of them into the JV side. But what we did, and I think you're gonna like this, is we have a wall that kind of sticks out a little bit further, and we were able to fit 5 lockers right there. So our starting O line is gonna
I
sit in
love it.
that spot.
Yeah,
Um, and I don't remember how it happened. We were over there. We actually just did it like last week. We were messing around with some stuff, and I was just like, man, it would be cool if we had like the O line sit together. So we started lining up these lockers, and 5 fit perfect. And I was like, all right, it's done deal.
yeah.
Starting O line
Uh,
is sitting right here.
yeah, yeah. I love what you said about the make put groups that aren't normally together.
Right,
Some places I've been, we had like a what we did was a mentorship type of program within our program, and we wanted seniors to pick a freshman, or no, it's more like, okay, so like seniors pick a junior, juniors pick a sophomore pick a freshman, and then you can kind of mix them up from there, and like you can rotate it, because that kind of it you want the older guys to teach the younger guys how things work,
right,
um, and so putting those guys together. So maybe you have your star senior, whatever position, and then if it's on he's on a sophomore rotation, now you're not always moving guy lockers and stuff, but
right,
maybe hey, you need to hang out and talk with this sophomore, receiver. And you're a senior offensive lineman,
right,
and kind of mentor him. So now you have, instead of having cliques, which there's nothing wrong with cliques. I said called a subculture,
right.
but nothing wrong with that. But then, hey, let's all mesh together. That's how you get a team,
Absolutely,
And so
absolutely.
that's why I'm big on that. That's some things I've written down for my future, that I like, as a mentorship program. And then maybe if you have something that's deemed for the whole season, then you can put guys' lockers next to each other. Because obviously you have a JV and a varsity, so
Right,
if you're blessed to have all juniors and seniors on varsity, uh, you can have that senior talk. Pick a sophomore,
right.
or you can engineer it where, hey, you're going to have him, and you're going to have him because you don't look alike, you don't come from the same background, you need to mesh. Those things I love. What do you think about those ideas?
Yeah, I think like you said, you have a culture of the overall program, right? The vision that you want everybody to be a part of. But I
Yeah,
think kind of like we talked about in the last episode too, you have like different subcultures by position, but also other things as well, right? So I think the more that you can take your subculture for your offensive line and mingle that with your subculture of whatever other position,
mhm,
I think as long as it all leads into your vision for the program or what you want for the offense or as a defense coordinator or whatever the case is, I think that as long as it all funnels into the same thing, all it's going to do is make you a better team. And I mean, that's one of those hills that like I'll die on, man. I think I'm a firm believer that if you love somebody, you're going to work harder for them.
yeah,
Whether it be and conditioning, whether it be in practice, whether it be in the classroom, no matter what it is. I think if you care about your coaches, you care about your teammates and all that stuff, I think, you have such a better chance of when things get tough, leaning on each other and saying, this is how we're going to do it. We know how it works here. We're going to go get the job done. Um, and, I started to see that from our team this past year, So obviously, as a coach, it's really, really good to see. But I think, to your point also, that click thing is almost kind of inevitable, right? Like,
Yeah.
you have guys who may known each other longer than, whoever. Obviously, when they're in their position groups, they have they spend more time with certain guys, right? But anything that you can do to get those guys to gel and be together, the lock-in's a great idea. I think the mentorship program's a phenomenal idea. All those things that you can do, I think at the end of the day, like, it's going to make every single person involved with your program, players, coaches, trainers, all of them, that much better.
Yeah. All right, so let's kind of hop into like practice, because we got a question about practice. And shout out to Coach Ingold down at Fountain Inn in South Carolina, great O line coach. He hit me up and was like, "Hey, coach, let's talk about practice." And not the Allen Iverson meme, practice, but
Talking about practice?
talking about practice. So shout out to 757 guy, Allen Iverson, but talking about, because there's so much scheme out there. There's so much, for the most part, culture stuff out there. But
Right.
practice, how to structure practice, when to have, like, how long your practice should be. When you have short ones, do you go in shells? Do you go in just helmets? Do you go full? How all those different decisions, it's different, And
Right.
unless you're the head coach or in a coordinator role, you don't really think about how practice is structured. It
Right.
just happens pretty much if you're a position guy, and then, okay, how much indie do I have? Okay, I have 15 minutes. Great. Then team and scaly inside team, cool. I don't have to script anything, and so I know I have this much time. How do you structure your day by day? And you can get as detailed as you want. But when you think it's a game day, not camp or anything like that yet. It's a
Right.
game day. It's a game day. It's a game week. Excuse me. And so you get out there Monday. How's kind of like a rough rundown of how your week goes?
So one thing that I learned from one of my buddies is as the season goes on, we cut time out of practice.
Yeah.
And I think that for us, it's gotten to the point where, you know, we still have Indy, we still have inside run, we still do offense 7-on-7, all that stuff. But hopefully by that point, we're to the point where we understand scheme. Again, like we talked about last episode, there may be an adjustment. There may be, hey, we're going to block this differently this week, or whatever the case is. And we kind of go through that in inside run when we show them the front that the team's playing
Yeah.
and all that stuff. So, um, like I said last week, um, Monday was a film day for us. So I'll go off of last year. Monday was a film day for us. Tuesday we were in. If we're saying like week one, Tuesday we were in full pads. And we would do. This is another thing that people may not like, but we don't stretch.
Yeah.
I think that pre-practice stretching is. I don't want to say unnecessary,
Hi,
but
Coach Wiley. Okay, Coach Wiley.
look, I don't we don't pre-practice stretch. And the
Yeah.
reason behind that is this is we do pre-practice,
Yeah.
right? So during pre-practice, returners are catching punts or kickoffs off the jug, depending on the day. Um, my quarterbacks are warming up and we're going through routes on air with all the receivers who aren't returners. Running backs are going through, I call it a gauntlet. People call it a blaster. Like
Yeah.
it has the arm sticking out and
Yeah.
you run through it.
Yeah.
So they're working ball security stuff, and if I have more than 2 quarterbacks, I'll have them rotate through that. So we do 10 minutes of pre-practice,
Okay.
and that depends on the day, right? So defensive days, we flip pre-practice and change it to defensive stuff. And that's something that we did this past year. Knock on wood, I haven't had any injuries because of it, anything like that. I talked to a very well known, you may know him. His name's Lou Johnston. He was a very, very big coach in Virginia. He was at Western Branch for years. Really, really good. And he said that that's what he did. So we kind of started in the summer, and our field house is across the road where our practice field and our stadium are. So our weight room is in the building. So we have the kids get dressed in the field house and they run to the way jog. So we call that their warm up.
Yeah.
But again, I just felt like it was such a time where, obviously I want the kids to mingle and all that stuff, but I want everything to be like, you know, everybody's the same, everybody, all that stuff. And I feel like some guys are stretching hard, some guys aren't. So we did pre-practice and then we would immediately go into special teams. So when special teams started, that's more running, that's not, full tackle on the special teams, but they're running down the field on punt, they're running down the field on kickoff, kickoff or return, all that stuff they're running. So I've always thought that that is a way for us to continue the quote unquote warm up. And during those times where, if we're doing kickoff, we're not going to have any O linemen on there. So if it's an offensive day, they're with their offensive line coach, they're working double team drill or, whatever the case is. So that's probably the first 25 minutes. And another thing I'm looking into is the length of practice.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of research the last couple of weeks on people who say that you should only practice 90 minutes. And I think that honestly, at the beginning of the summer in August, at like the first couple of weeks, it's for me too. Like I feel a lot more comfortable knowing that we're out there, we're able to get everything put in that we need to get put in that day, and we're able to rep it a ton.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to do better. I will say that much. But so special teams, and then again, if it's an offense day, and we typically split everything, we do half offense, half defense. And the reason being is because when, game week, if you're walking through Thursday and Monday's your offense day, they're not doing offense again until Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, like, if they're forgetting everything that they learned on Monday before Wednesday, obviously you hope that doesn't happen. But high school age kids, the majority of them aren't thinking about football unless they're there with you.
Yeah.
That's just my thought process behind it. So
Yeah, the time thing, like for those that know them, I'm a Nigel Pearson, Garrett Mills, the last couple of years type person. Practices are long, and
yeah,
so it is what it is. Like get the work in, like so. But there are, like you said, there are methods of or thoughts processes out there. Shorten practice, be more. It forces you to be more efficient.
that's right.
Um, Not a lot more standing around. Like you don't have as many periods, so you get better as a coach, or you're
Right.
forced to get better as a coach. Moving those guys, being more direct and precise with your drills, and let's get through this stuff. Let's go home. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, I definitely I moving forward like hey, cutting down practice. I think that's the wave with
One
practice.
thing that I've really looked at is our transition time.
Yeah,
I think the time in transition is something that adds up to be so much time of practice. And that's something that I need to do a better job of. There's no doubt about that. But we'll do all that. We'll do group, so inside run. Um, like I said, we'll walk through anything new for that week, or if we're seeing a front or a box that we haven't seen before, whatever the case is. And then we'll typically go 7-on-7 right after that. Again, same kind of concept, teaching at the beginning, repping, against their defense or whatever the case is after that. and then we'll go team. And one thing we started this year is we started using multiple tempos. So we'll have we called it steady. So steady is just like, we don't huddle, but we're getting lined up, we're seeing the play call, and then we're getting lined up, I should say, and we're rolling like that. And then we have hyper, which is we're jogging to the ball, we're seeing the call as we're getting lined up, all that stuff. And then we have psycho, where we try to get into one word calls. I'm going to do a lot better job of teaching it this year, but it's like we're staying in the exact same formation, see the play, and we're rolling. So we didn't really practice the steady much, but we practiced the hyper and the psycho a lot. So we would have two team periods at least to be able to go through that stuff. And then we would flip to defense, and I let my defense coordinator kind of structure the defense part of the practice. I'll make sure that we get all the indie that we need, whether it's 15 minutes or whatever, and then group and we'll roll team and we're gone. But like I said, the transition time and then any kind of setup time or anything like that where you're not actively coaching rolling, to me, is like what I think the program at PreQuimans needs to get better at. So, like, I remember at ODU, man, everything was 5 periods. We may have a 10-minute period here and there, but if you walked onto the practice field, there's guys running all over the place. And it was awesome. And obviously that's super hard to replicate, but that's what I would love to be able to get to, because 5-minute segments. I remember, like, on one or two occasions we had a practice that was over 30 periods. And I mean, we were a pretty good team, so that's what I would love to be able to get to, is not necessarily have guys running all over the place, because I know that's hard to do, a lot of the time, because you may need an extra minute or so with this group or whatever. But I think if we're able to structure the practice to where, we're working, and we're out, I think that helps everybody.
Yeah, I think something that helped us, and a lot of people do this. So if some people out there don't do this, this is a free game for you guys. Especially like it's hot, it's like water breaks. It's hot in the summer. Have water where you are always. So you don't have, sometimes you might take, hey, we've been going, that split period where you go offense and you go to defense, or special teams, the offense to defense. That time you might take a 5-minute water break, or 3 minutes, whatever it is. But when you transition those periods, just have water there. And have, if you have a trainer, if you're blessed to have, a trainer that has help. In every place I've been, the trainer usually has somebody from the school that's interested in the field that helps fill up water. Have that water at your station, so when you're getting guys reps, as soon as they come out, get a swig. Let's keep going. So it cuts out all that transition to water and all stuff like that. And for what we did as well, I have my area, for the offensive line.
Absolutely.
We have our practice field. It's lined, pretty, blah blah. We're on the side. It's a pretty big area. It's off of the practice field. Still level ground, all that stuff where the sled, the chute is. Anything I need to get done, that's our area. So if we're gonna do indie there, we're actually gonna do inside there as well. So if the only people that have to transition is quarterbacks and running backs and maybe our H's, and then maybe like JV linebackers and DL, and they usually the DL's with us in that area. So it's everybody that's running to us are all skill players that should be fast running to us.
That's right. It should be faster.
So it's not any more transition period time. So that was little nuances that hopefully somebody can take. Hey, I didn't think about that. So have places designated where things happen. And so it's not like, coaches down here now, we're gonna do team down here now. Let's all run down there, or have this is where we always do team. Now you don't want to tear your field up, so you're gonna move it around, but have those things where it's kind of a routine. Where things are gonna happen.
That's right.
And kids can almost, we had a clock, so had a period clock, so it would count.
The clock is the best thing, man. If you don't have a clock, you need to get one.
Yeah, so Pearson at Northwind, he kept it on his watch, and it was
Mm.
he was the most like always checking it, all this stuff. So he was good at it. But here at Walkertown, we had a nice clock. My job was to set the clock based off of the schedule, and so it was up on it was high. Everybody could see it up on a hill, and so like literally when it gets to like the seconds and it's counting down 25 seconds, we take off. Like we're
Right.
supposed to be over here, we take off. We get there. And you kind of buy like stealing time that way, but nobody knows, and there's no confusion. Like, hey, where are we gonna do? Yeah, Skelly this time. Well,
Right.
no, the receivers DBs are down there doing theirs. So when it gets to like 10 seconds, you should be taking off and getting there,
Right.
or even a little earlier. So having things structured that way also always takes down on transition time.
No question. I think another thing that helped us too, and our booster club actually got this for us. We have it's called Go Route. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah.
Um, we started using that 2 years ago. Um, and again, transition time, right? You know, when you're running scout team and you have your book and you
Yeah.
have all these beautiful cards drawn and all that stuff, and you're having a huddle and you're pointing to every kid, telling them where to go and all that stuff. Um, you know, we run scout team with one coach.
Yeah.
And that's been really good to us. You know, again, smaller school, right? Less population. Um, you know, our staff is not as big as I would like for it to be. Um, but you know, it's gotten to the point where we've been able, and obviously our older kids know, but when the younger kids come in, a lot of the time we're having to show them, you know, how to use it and all that. But I mean, you literally hit the button on your phone, it sends a play out. They say, okay, I'm playing left guard. This is what I'm doing, and you roll. Um, you know, the only, I guess, deal breaker is Tarboro, who, you know, quarterback will turn around, will fake the ball to two backs and give it to the third one.
Yeah.
You know, we talked to the running backs and the quarterback for that, but man, I mean, I remember the cool thing about it too is like on the website when you log in, you're able to see like stats of practice, right?
Yeah.
So we played Lakewood in the second round. And I was like setting everything up, and I don't remember exactly what I was doing, but I went on the website and I looked at the stats, and we ran 75 plays in I think it was 20 minutes.
Wow.
And you know, I obviously we're not sponsored by Go Route. This is the second episode, but you know, it has gotten to the point where the efficiency is just incredible, and we're running a play every like 17 seconds.
Hmm.
So, you know, for offense, I have a script of plays that I want to get through. For defense, we script it, you know, so everybody knows what the call is and all that coach wise. But if we have extra time, we can call more stuff, right? So if we have a 10-minute segment of practice or a team, we're going to run our script. And if we have, I don't know, 30 seconds left, we're going to try and run two more plays.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's been really more beneficial just because defense around us, they don't do like real crazy stuff. But
Yeah.
I think it's been really beneficial for our defense because they're able to see so many formations, so many plays, you know, to the point where on Friday night, if a team lines up in a formation, they have a tendency to do this. Everybody on the field on our defense is yelling out like,
Right.
"Here, whatever comes," you know. So that's been really cool for us, that transition to be able to use that technology. You know, so I would, you know, again, another thing that people may not know about, but if you're blessed to have a booster club, or you know, you're really good at fundraising or whatever the case is, I
Yeah.
would definitely look into that because I think it's helped us out a lot. It's helped us out a lot.
Yeah. Um. So, how do you like to do? So when you say offensive days, defensive days, and we did similar because smaller program.
Right.
If it was an offensive day, we would go first. I think it was no, we would go
That's the
second.
same way we are too. We would
Yeah,
go
I think,
set or the day is who goes first for us.
okay, yes. So if it's offensive day, we go first, and obviously I love that because at the end of the practice, when you're trying to get that last team, period.
Right.
At the end of the day, you ain't getting nothing.
Right.
You are, but you're not getting much. So whenever it was defensive day, it's like that. But do
Yeah, fact.
you do you keep it 50-50, or do you like whoever's day it is, it's more like 60-40 or something like that? How do you like with time wise?
So we keep it 50-50. When I was at Hickory with Coach Wilson, it was honestly probably closer to like 70-30. So
Okay.
if we had 2 hours for practice,
Yeah.
you'd have like an hour and a half that was offense, and
Yeah.
the last, in this case, 30 minutes would be defense. And I thought that was good because, again, you're getting everything,
Yeah.
special teams mixed in, you're getting everything every day. And I think that's a big, big thing, especially for our kids now, is we can't go a full day without doing one side of the ball.
Yeah.
Um, and I started doing that, I think 2 years ago, is we had a full offense day, full defense day, full offense day. And, I always have our coaches stay back and we kind of talk about the day, right? And I
Mhm.
think everybody probably does that, but
Yeah.
we talk about like, okay, well, how was this? Do we need to wrap this more? Whatever the case is. And that was one of the things that we started looking at like week 3 or 4 was like, dude, we haven't done offense since Monday, and we had Tuesday that was defense. And now, if Thursday is walkthrough, theoretically, whoever's not on that week. So, like, we did it Monday was offense, Tuesday was defense, Wednesday was offense, and then the next week it would switch.
Yeah.
So, somebody's only getting one day of practice, and we just couldn't do that. So, um, that's how I've done it in the past, but I think the 50-50 thing makes it to where you can get more out of whatever side of the ball is going second, if that makes sense.
Yeah. 100%. Now, how much? I mean, you're an offensive line guy.
Of course,
How much
to the heart,
indie?
to the soul.
Yeah. How much indie time do you provide
So,
as
like
a
I
because
said,
you are the head coach, so you have to tell
right.
everybody.
So we try like with say the beginning of the season, right? When we're installing, like beginning of August, beginning of summer, spring, whatever, we
Yeah.
do more indie time. So there's times where we'll have, and what I try and do honestly is like I'll try and split it up and segment it throughout practice. So we may have special teams at the beginning, a little bit of indie or whatever the case is, and then we'll have indie again. But overall, throughout the whole practice, I mean, I'm trying to get at least 25 minutes of indie. I think any less than that, you get to the point where it's tough, especially at the beginning, because again, as an offensive line guy, I think there's always something that you can be doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and we went at one point and we did team pass and team run, which I thought was fairly beneficial too for our team segments.
Hmm.
And that helped to segment it too, because now we can do like, okay, I'm going to do my run progression drills or whatever the case is. Then we're going to have team run, and then I can work on my pass pro stuff and then have team pass. But yeah, I think any less than 25 minutes, especially if you split it up, 25 minutes straight is a long time,
Yeah.
in my opinion. So I try and make it to where we're not just everybody standing in the same corner, and kids are starting to do this and all that stuff. So, um,
Mhm.
I mean, at the summer we're sometimes like 40 minutes. I think it depends on what you're installing that day too. Um, but you know, beginning of the summer, beginning of August, we're really, really indie heavy. And then bye week too, man, we're very, very indie heavy.
Yeah.
Because trying to get, kids back healthier and all that stuff, making sure that I don't want to, bang kids up on the bye week, but we'll have a couple of days on the bye week too, where we'll fly around and we'll play team football and tackle and all that stuff. But um, yeah, man, I think as an offensive line guy, you always wish you had more indie. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna share this real quick. Just share my screen real quick, and I'm just gonna show. This is just a example of what we used to do.
I was thinking
So
that too. I can show one of our practice plans too
yeah,
if you want.
so this is when I was at North Rowan, and this was more of a, let's call it like a Wednesday. So it's more, we don't have it in. This is not with this offensive period without inside. So you'll see this is offensive lines. This is where I'm talking right here. So without an inside period, we get more Indy. So if you count the periods one, that's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 35 minutes of Indy. Now, I keep it fresh and it's always something new. So the kids really don't
Right.
know. Um, so what I started with is a stance to start under the shoot. It's just stance, and then I'll have the boards, and you're working, zone steps and downs. Then I'll get on the sled, and the sled to me is just, it's a conditioning drill.
Right.
It is firing feet. It is moving something right now. If you want to get to the point, oh, it's not a real blocking surface. Okay, cool, but it is, having to use muscle to move things.
Right.
Um, in a reach drill, which I love, I'll use a fit reach drill, having to, in a bad situation, having to overtake and run your feet, and I'll do it from a head up and having to reach it, and then we'll do it from a stance and go. Reach drill is very underrated. I think more people should do it.
I
DPS,
agree.
DPS is the best drill on this earth. It's just downs, pulls, and combos. So we'll do it all at the same time. If you are blessed to have two O-line coaches, it works better. If not, it's a lot of moving around for me. But
Right.
having downs, combos, and your different kinds of pulls going. And I stole a drill from Robbie Caldwell at Clemson, where he has them all going at the same time. Board drill is just mano a mano, driving each other off the ball. That's just like toughness, move somebody drill. And then my pass pro stuff, looking pretty, getting your sets in, and then we'll do one-on-one pass rush. So it's a whole bunch, but it's all different stuff. And
Right.
then we'll cut it back 10 minutes when we go inside as well, and we'll probably cut board drill out because it's inside. And then probably cut this reach drill out. No, cut sled, and we'll cut board drill out to get the inside period. But that's kind of how we would do things at North End, like that. So that's something that we like to do with the inside with
Right.
Indy.
So let me see. I hit present.
Yeah. What I do is hit present. If you want to do like entire screen, um, and then pull up like Google Drive or whatever,
All right.
which we talked about last week. If you don't use Google Drive to organize your program, what are you doing?
You have got to get on it. There's no doubt
Yes,
about that. There's
yes.
absolutely no doubt.
And the
Let's see.
collaboration is so easy. Like if you, because the way Pearson would do it, he would have all this would be blank. He would have all his periods the way he wanted it. I'll pull this up. He had all his periods the way he wanted it, and then he's like, "Hey guys, go put your drills in," and then he
Right.
would print it, and he would print it. So yeah,
That's what I do too. So here's a Wednesday for us. Uh run and split practice. So Tuesdays and Thursdays into the season were our lift days. Um, and there's your special teams at the beginning. A lot of times I didn't put pre-practice on there once we got going because
yeah,
everybody knew, what they were doing. Any kind of notes that we had, this is a defense first day. And then there's your offense day. So inside run, there's our two tempos, 7-on-7, all that. This was a week or a day that we didn't do a whole lot of indie, but that's 15 minutes there. And then, um, I'll have the quarterbacks do stuff if they're all they do is play quarterback. So they'll warm up and then work back shoulder throws. And then our scripts down here with go out cards. And then one thing I started doing was putting all of our special teams depth charts for that day on there
yeah,
too.
yeah,
Just as a way to like quick reference it. And then there's everybody's assignments for pre-practice also. But yeah, I mean, I think for us, the Google Drive was big because it allowed, like you said, it allowed everybody to go in, put their, individual drills in. They can see where everybody's supposed to be. I'll print one for everybody, give it to them when they, before we start practice, and we roll. And the first couple of days of practice, I have a diagram.
yeah,
Everybody has a spot, right? I have a diagram of our practice field and there's circles where every position group is. So just trying to make it to where when we get to practice, there's no questioning what's going on.
Yeah,
One
100%.
thing that they did at ODU that I thought was really cool that I've started and stopped and started and stopped is they posted the practice plan
Yeah,
in the locker room.
yeah,
So I don't know anybody that does it in high school, but um, it was cool too because then all the players knew, you know,
yeah,
what are we doing that day?
yeah.
And I think a positive for it too is, you can work whatever this day and then look back. I try and have all of our practice plans done on Sunday.
Mhm.
So I'll text the coaches, hey, practice plans are up. Go put your drills in. Um, and what I do is then they can look at like, okay, Monday I did this. Tuesday I know I have Indy, I can do this. Wednesday I know I have Indy, I can do this. And that way the whole week, is already planned out. They know what they're going to do. And then, if Monday they had extra time, they can start working on Tuesday stuff and then they can adjust Tuesday or Wednesday from there. So, but I mean, if somebody hacked our Google Drive account, they would have our entire program. I mean,
Yeah,
I keep everything on there.
yeah.
Just because you're not having to worry about like, coach, I didn't see this, or I need this, or whatever. Our playbook, our depth charts, um, practice plans, anything involving like program is all on the Google Drive.
What's
Um,
big for me is I have the I'm big like with the clinic and all this stuff, all the different forms and sheets. Also, I have Google Sheet app on my phone is one of the most used
yep,
apps, and so I'll literally just go to Google Sheet and I can type it in real quick, and I can print it from my phone to whatever
right,
school printers or whatever it is. It's so convenient. I don't have to get my computer out and type and print
yep,
like so that's huge. Like, so I plead with some coaches, get on Google Drive. If you need some help, I would be willing to help you, coach. I'm sure you would. So
gladly, absolutely,
it's because it's not hard. Just some people don't know how. And so once you
right.
start playing with it, and it's not hard at all. But one thing I wanted to say, because you mentioned it earlier, some of the equipment y'all have. And coach, y'all are 1A school, man. And y'all have a jugs machine. Y'all got a blaster. Do you have a well, God, I just forgot the name of it. Freaking sled. What you
We have
call it?
a Crowther sled.
Crowd. You have a Crowther?
We do.
I knew it. I knew
So
it.
this is,
I
and
knew it.
I work for the best athletic director,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying this to say it. He's one of my best friends, and
Yeah.
he's a former football coach. He's a baseball coach. He he gets it, you
Gets it.
know. Um, now with that being said, it's not like, hey coach, can you get this for us?
Yeah, of
It's,
course.
hey coach, I saw this. Like when it comes to the football account, he gives me, there may be a thing here and there that I ask about, and he's kind of like, do you really need that? But other than that, like he lets me do what I see fit for
Yeah.
the program as a whole.
Yeah.
And he has all of the coaches' backs, everything. It's phenomenal. But to get back to the equipment, um, the jugs machine we got a phenomenal deal on. We
Cool.
bought it for like $700 with the
Yeah.
cart, all that. We run an extension cord over to the practice field. We set it up. It's rolling when the kids get there. If they want to get catches before practice, please do. All that. The blaster or gauntlet or whatever you call it is really old,
Yeah.
but it does a trick.
Of course.
It, like I said, our stadium and our practice field and our field house are across the road from the school. But when I was at Perquimans the first time, our practice field, so we got a new stadium like 5 or 6 years ago, I think. That's across the road. But before we played on the baseball field. So in the outfield, which was a treat when you were painting fields on the dirt and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so everything was over there, including the blaster, including our chute, including our sleds and all that stuff. So when I first got back, we went over there, and my O line coach played at Old Dominion. He's a a large fella and very, very strong. So we picked it up and put it in a trailer. Well, he picked it up basically, put it in a trailer, and we drove it all over to the practice field because it really wasn't being used before then. And I'm not a 5-man sled guy. And I know you said it's a conditioning thing, and I 100% agree with that. Um, but we have a 5-man sled that's like pushed up against the woods that we don't use.
Yeah.
But we use that Crowther sled probably every day.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, zone double teams, the gallop, and
Yeah.
all that good stuff. I think to be able to run zone and really get like good technique, you got to have one. Um, but yeah, man. I mean, I tell everybody, and I'm not just saying it. Like we are very, very blessed.
100%.
Um, I think our county and our community deserve a winning program, and you know, that's the thing that I try and tell our kids and get them to understand is we have a sign on our door when the kids walk out of the field house, the door out into the practice field that says, "Today I will get my all for Perquimans County," and I 1,000% believe that. I think, you know, as high school football players and as high school coaches, it's not just y'all going to play a game. It's everybody that you have on your back when you go to play the game.
Yeah.
Um,
That's special, man. It ain't like that everywhere. That's special.
right. I mean, I truly believe that for 1A football in Perquimans County is one of the coolest atmospheres that I've seen. And obviously I'm very biased. There's no doubt about that. But Friday night the fire department pulls up and they have a huge American flag that they run up on the ladder, and they have a big pirate flag underneath that. And when we go in at halftime and we come back out and the lights are on, man, you look up in the stands, it's a beautiful sight. I love it. I absolutely love it. But yeah, like I said, we are very, very blessed. There's no
Yeah.
doubt about that.
Yeah. There was some other things I wanted to talk about, Coach, but I think we might have to wrap it up for another episode. Hey,
I didn't realize we've been on for this long.
yeah, man. Hey, it's rolling along. It's easy. It's so
It
easy. Like,
is. It is.
but one thing, and you said this a long time ago, but I have a strong opinion on this. I just want to hear yours. You talked about helmets. You talked about the guys that put in that sweat equity to
Right.
pick helmets, and you said you have speed flexes and you have F7s. The F7 helmet is the worst helmet on this.
No,
Coach, because the piece right here breaks the easiest out of any piece of equipment. The piece the plastic piece that says shut.
like the stripe part.
No, like the piece that looks like this. It has the 2 screws on the top that says
Oh
shut.
yeah. Does
That
it?
piece, yes. Like, I don't know if it's the all the years I was up north and last year at Walkertown, that piece breaks all the time. Like, and they don't just send them to you.
Right.
So what I do is I get like the thicker old school, like clear looking, like just plastic pieces that you put the bar the face mask in and you just screw it in.
Right.
I use those because they don't break.
Right.
So I
Yeah,
think
that's a good
so
idea.
when the shut breaks, because I'm an equipment guy, I love doing equipment. So
Right.
when that piece breaks, I'm like, crap. So I'm like, screw. Now, one thing I will say is speed flexes look sexy, but taking that whatever a piece of equipment, whatever you want to call it, rich, and having to take that
It's
those
terrible.
little bead out, God, that sucks.
Look, we lost so many of those pieces 2 years ago.
Yes.
I ordered like 75 of them, and I was like, "We're never gonna have this problem again." But that little inside piece where like the ratchet is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, like the piece that I guess where the I can't even really describe it. It's like where the chin strap goes, and
Yeah.
like you have to sit there and take the thing that looks like this. You have to push it in, push that hole down, push
Yes.
it in there, and then like maneuver it till it locks. Like those
Miserable.
suck, man.
Worst design in the history of football helmets. There's no doubt about that.
Yes.
I really like the way the F7s look, though.
I like the way they look. I just hate that piece just malfunctions. Like I feel like you have a good day of practice and like one's cracking. like that metal, that plastic piece going to crack, and then the whole face mask wants to wiggle. So,
yeah. Tell coach y'all need some guardian caps, man.
Yeah.
Tell them it's
Yeah.
about the kid's safety.
They call the AD, and hey, Coach Gammons, it's about safety, and
That's it.
Because I don't know if you know Mitch Johnson, but him and I at Northwood down in that area.
I know the name, but I don't think I know him personally.
He's done some videos with me, and they have guardian caps, and that's how he sold to his AD. He was like, hey, the safety and like but he said he only had one concussion last year.
I think
so, yeah.
We got him last year also. And we didn't have enough for everybody to have one, but we were ordering. We're trying to get to the point where everybody does.
Yeah.
And I think we had one also.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, the pain is obviously they're not going to wear them during games. Now, we played a team last year. I can't remember who it was. That had a kid that wore it during games. But getting them back on, making sure all the kids have them back on for practice and all that stuff. Obviously, in the summer, like you're rolling, you don't have to worry about it, nothing like that. But once we started playing games, it became almost a once a week deal. Go put your guardian cap back on, But I think the kids think that they look cool.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't think they look bad, but I think obviously with the NFL wearing them now, a lot of big time colleges are wearing them.
Yeah.
I think they've gotten to the point where they're like, hey, like I look sweet with this on. Like we went to a 7-on-7 and helmets at ECU, and they wanted to wear them for that, and I was like, fine, like whatever, that's fine. But that front piece, man, I've never had a problem with it.
I got you. I'm gonna share this. I'm not trying to get in trouble with anybody, but man, especially when we were at the clinic, a lot of people were trying to sell us the Vixus or whatever they are.
That is the ugliest helmet ever made,
Coach. And we were just like, oh yeah, appreciate it. You try not to be mean to vendors, and we're just like, we moved on. And we're like, dude, that's so ugly. Like,
did you see the picture of Patrick Mahomes is cracked?
Yes. Like
now
these I can deal with, right? It's still ugly, but this thing, like what George Kittle wears, what
Nick Bosa has one, or whichever one it is.
Yeah, Nick Bosa.
That one's bad.
Looks like a Power Ranger, Coach. like
my man's forehead sticks out like 6 inches further than the rest of his face.
Like this should have been around for Peyton Manning. Like I don't know, but yeah. I am a guy that's a helmet snob, so yeah. But that's not for me. Yeah, F7s look cool. It's just that piece, but
the kids are that way too now, man. They're only when we let them pick, they're like, okay, I'm like, what do you want? You want an F7 or a Speed Flex? Speed Flex. Everybody wants a Speed Flex. I'm just like, I think the F7 looks cooler, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah. Some guys will go with the F7. And obviously you got the speeds, but then nobody wants to shut. So a scud.
Yeah, that's what they call them. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah,
that Vices one is different, that's for sure, or however you say it.
Yeah, I have no clue. Yeah, because we were like, we're not gonna buy something our kids aren't gonna want to wear. So,
right.
But yeah, one thing when we wrap it up, the guys at Sports Workbook. Do you have a sports workbook from them?
I do have one.
Okay. Yeah.
So I got one last year for clinic season.
Yeah. So because he tagged us.
I saw that.
Yeah, because he's like, dude, I talked to that guy a little bit, and I got one from him, and then obviously you have, and he like remembers, like just out of the blue. So like,
right.
So I'm gonna talk to him. Like I don't know, like he wants to sponsor us, even if it's like not even like giving something to us. Like
right. I'm all about it.
He does good work, and
they're so well put together, and they look so good too.
Mine is in my room.
Mine's in my backpack, but I love it.
Let's see.
I took it to the Eastern North Carolina clinic.
Yeah. 100%. So like I'm gonna because he has like college guys like
Really?
getting orders from him. Yeah,
That's
100%.
awesome.
So yeah,
That's awesome.
I'm gonna get their logo and then make a banner. And once we start to get big time, have
Yeah, there we go.
sponsors with it like that because they're great people. But yeah, coach,
Now you
another
made
great.
that point, man. He definitely does remember because I ordered that like over a year ago.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
So
impressive.
shout out to him. Y'all go check out Sports Workbook on Twitter and tell him that we sent y'all to him. 100%, man. It's good stuff. But yeah, clinic season is here. I'm excited for it. I mean, it has all the diagrams, has the box the box quadruple circles, as I call it,
Right.
box quadruple circles for any offensive line, and then it has like all this like scouting stuff you could have in there,
Yeah.
with like your blitz tendencies and stuff like that. So it's great.
The
But
lines
yeah,
right next to the boxes so you can write notes about everything. They're
yeah,
a good deal for sure. I love mine.
yeah. Well, Coach, it's been an awesome episode. Again, it's great, getting to spend time with you. Uh,
Absolutely. I look
yeah,
forward
chill.
to it every week now.
Yeah, man. Hey, no doubt. Again, guys, do you have any topics or any ideas or issues that you may have come across? Maybe you want us to talk about or hear us debate or not debate each other, but kind of just talk about it.
Right.
Drop it in the comments or just DM us. Because what your handle is it at? It's head coach P. You say it, yeah.
PQ_HBC. I'm a big Steve Spurrier guy, man.
Head ball coach, man.
I love Steve Spurrier.
Head ball coach.
Just growing up a Gator fan, but he always did everything with like swagger before swagger was a thing. So I wear a visor because he wore a visor. I want to be him when I grow up. But yeah, that's it. And I mean, one thing too, I know like if you get into issues, a lot of times you may worry about like, you know, you don't want people to know it's you or something like that. But if it's a issue that, you know, is sensitive to you or whatever the case is, I mean, we'll keep it anonymous.
Oh yeah.
We can talk about it and make sure that you don't wind up getting in trouble or anything like that. Obviously, I definitely understand that.
No doubt. So yeah, just hit us up with those. But we'll keep it rolling because we're having fun with these. But Coach, you got any last thoughts for the people?
I think that we should end every episode with keep learning and keep doing it for the kids.
I love it.
That should be like our sign out deal.
Yeah, yeah. That's how I kind of sign out on my videos, kind of like that. Like make sure your kids can handle what you're doing, and make sure you're always pouring into the kids, man.
That's
At
right.
the end of the day, that's what it's all about. 100%.
No question.
All right, Coach. We will see y'all in the next episode of the Counterculture Podcast. Until next time, y'all be good.
We'll see y'all later.